First it was Warren Peper, then it was Craig Birnbach, but now it is Andy Pruitt, who's the top sports guy here at Channel 5. In this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups, I talk with him one-on-one. Well, Andy, it's been a while since I've actually seen you and the family downtown.
Yeah, we live in Somerville now,
Yeah.
so it's harder to get into downtown Charleston because you got to pack the bag and get the 5 and the 3-year-old in the car as well. But we make it downtown every so often. I took my wife out to Hank's a couple weeks ago, so
that's a good
we still get a chance to go downtown, but yeah, not as much as we used to when we lived in West Ashley.
Yeah.
When we first moved here several years ago.
Yeah, and you have been at Channel 5 now, from what I calculated, 9 years?
Almost 9 years. That's right. We moved here in July of '04. Started as the weekend sports anchor here, so it was an adventure for my wife. She's from upstate New York.
Oh, great.
So she had to get used to the South and the heat, and when we first moved down here, was we were driving into Charleston, one of those torrential rainstorms opened up, and her parents, they were freaking out. They'd never seen that much rain come down at once. So I told her it's normal, it's okay, just don't drive where there's major puddles, and we'll be all right.
That's right. And you know, you actually became the sports director in 2007. Talk to me about the roller coaster from weekend sports anchor to now sports director.
It was different because when I got here, Warren Peper was still the sports director. 2 weeks after that, they made the change.
Right.
And so then I was still the weekend sports anchor, but moved up one position to the number 2 guy. And then in '06, we kind of went through another transition. Wasn't always the easiest thing to balance everything that was going on inside our sports department, but I'm very thankful for Mary Rigby, our former news director, gave me a shot to be the sports director, and they've stuck with me at that position for a while now.
Yeah, she's awesome. Well, talk to me about this, because I asked Bill Sharp this as well as last week. But with social media and the blogs, how have you been able to adapt to the change of getting sports news out there much faster?
Well, obviously, you can't wait for the broadcast.
Right.
You know, you got to get stuff on Twitter, whether it's a news story that happens, whether it's a score. So I think in some ways social media has changed the way we tell our stories on air when it comes to a result. Right now we're taping while South Carolina's playing North Carolina in the Super Regionals.
Yeah.
Well, I can't pretend like people don't know what's already happened, because it's already been all over Facebook, all over Twitter, and you name whatever else it's been there. So now I have to angle the way I tell the story with people already knowing what's happened. So not only is it changing us getting the information out there, but when we're on air, when we're telling a story, when it comes to a result, when it comes to a game, we have to change the way we tell it, as opposed to setting up like who won.
Yes.
People already know who won.
Yeah. I want you to walk me down memory lane to 2004.
Okay.
You're working at Elmira, New York at the NBC station there. Tell me, when did you want to come to Charleston and Channel 5? What attracted you here?
Well, I was in the process of applying to get out of there. I've been there 4 years, and I knew I wanted to be in the South. I knew I wanted to be near the beach. And Charleston was one of the places that I applied for, and I'm just very fortunate that I got the opportunity. I knew of Charleston, had never been here. I'd been to Hilton Head once on family vacation, and that's a little farther south from here, but I knew of Charleston. I knew what it looked like from pictures and things like that. So I think it was more the opportunity to work here. Once I understood about the things that we got to cover here, when it comes to the colleges, and not just the ones in town, but getting a chance to cover the major colleges in South Carolina and Clemson, that just makes it more attractive. So it was an opportunity to step up in market size, obviously come to one of the best places in the country, and I think just overall a good situation.
And you were the weekend sports anchor at the NBC station there.
Right, and then it's kind of the same thing that happened there. I started as the weekend sports anchor, then moved to the sports director role there. So I basically, if you stay in one place long enough, you get to be promoted.
Yes, indeed.
At least in this business, in sports.
Exactly. It seems like you have been working in not so popular markets, because you actually, from what I read, was at Zanesville, Ohio.
That's where I got my first gig.
Really?
Yeah, I was the weekend sports anchor there, and then for 4 days out of the week, I also did production work behind the camera, running audio, doing CGs and things like that, because you have to be willing to do whatever you can. If you want to be in front of the camera, you have to be willing to be behind the camera. You have to be able to do everything, so you understand what goes into the news production. So you take whatever you can, and I was very fortunate too, because some people, when they graduate, they have to wait a while to get their first on-air job. Only took me 3.5 months. Wow. That wasn't that bad. Yes, it was a very tiny market, only one county in the market in Zanesville, Ohio, but Muskingum County. That's the name of the county. That's the only county that was that part of that market. But,
Really?
And market, I think at that point, 202. And there's 210 markets in the country.
Right.
Market 202.
Well, let's walk back down memory lane to Syracuse University in '99, where you majored in broadcast journalism. You know, I'm wondering, who was Andy Pruitt as a college student?
Well, I tried to be someone who wasn't just focused on what I was there to major in. For me, it was also about building relationships with people.
Sure.
I was very involved with Campus Crusade for Christ there, and that was a major part of my life. I got to be they had a main event every Thursday called, I think it was called Prime Time, and I got to be the MC for about 2.5 years for that. And I also did a lot of intramurals. Was a referee for intramurals, so I built a lot of relationships in those two things. Didn't have to do a fraternity because I basically had my fraternity / sorority in Campus Crusade for Christ, and with intramurals. So I would say I was really focused on those two things as much as getting a major in broadcast journalism plus minors in political science and African American studies.
And that's what I read too. And I'm thinking, is it probably safe to say if television news didn't work out, you would probably be maybe a teacher?
I don't know about a teacher. I'm actually interested in politics.
Really?
If you ask Bill Sharp, he and I kind of go back and forth on political discussions sometimes. I'm interested in politics. It's sad sometimes. I think it rubs people the wrong way because of what we see so much from politicians from time to time. But I still think it's an amazing entity. It's something wild to cover because it's so different from the way you and I maybe handle our differences and just talk to each other. You know, in campaigns, they bash each other all the time. But then afterwards, oh, it's okay, we're friends again.
Again.
And so in some way, it's kind of like a game, the way they play it. But it's still an interesting dynamic, and it's something that's always fascinated me. So who knows? Maybe this thing doesn't work out down the road. Politics could be something that I try.
Senator Andy Pruitt.
We'll see.
And let's talk about high school, which was Langley High School in Virginia.
Right next to the CIA building.
Really?
That was different. It was in my sophomore junior year. There were shootings outside of the building there. I remember the school going on lockdown. Wow. A very affluent area. Some people joke around and call it Beverly Hills East.
That's right.
It's an amazing area. You know, people like Colin Powell have houses there. To all the senators and congressmen. But I was very fortunate to go there. We grew up, and when we moved from New Orleans, I was born in New Orleans in '77. We only lived there for a few years. We moved to one part of Fairfax County outside of D.C., Alexandria. And after 10 years, my parents wanted to send me to a better public school, so we moved to the western part of Fairfax County in Langley. That was different because growing up in Alexandria, a very diverse area, all kinds of people,
Absolutely.
And that part of Fairfax County, it was very, very different, very. You know, there wasn't as much diversity, so it was different getting used to that.
Yes.
That was one of the major parts of my life, just kind of learning who I was as a person and how to handle that, and how to handle that change.
Well, you know, I'm excited about that because I want to move to the D.C. area.
Okay. Now you got to get used to the traffic.
Oh goodness.
You have to get used to the traffic. It has gotten worse. We go back once or twice a year to see my parents, and the traffic keeps getting worse and worse. Now, see, D.C. is set up differently. Most cities, most of the people live inside the city.
Yes.
In D.C., most people live outside the city.
That's right.
So that makes 495, the Beltway, ridiculous to travel. So it's beautiful. I do appreciate growing up there. I thought I wanted to go back there and be a sports anchor there someday. I don't want to go back there anymore. Really? Just too many people. And I think it's more the traffic than the people. It's just, for me and the way I like to live my life, I don't want to have to count on allowing an hour to travel somewhere that should only take 15 minutes.
15 minutes, yeah. Well, describe to me the following in one word. Sports.
I think competition.
Diving.
Almost a sport.
Family.
What I cherish most.
God.
Number one.
Yes. Channel 5.
Been very supportive of me.
Andy Pruitt.
Hopefully someone that people enjoy watching, but also understand more that I'm a father and a husband. You know, and that's what I cherish most about my life and who I am. Mm-hmm. Those two things will always come before anything. And I think most people who work here understand that too.
Absolutely. And speaking of family, let's talk about your wife, Andrea.
Mm-hmm. She's been very supportive of me. I think she used to like sports more before she married me than afterwards. Just the life of a sportscaster is a little different. Different hours. A little more travel involved than, let's say, a news anchor here at the station. So, you know, the past couple weeks I was in Greenville for the Southern Conference baseball tournament. Then after that in Columbia for the NCAA regionals. And so different hours. I don't get to put the kids to bed during the week, so my wife has been extremely supportive. She has sacrificed a lot with my career, so I appreciate everything that she's done for me in that aspect. But she's trying to get a couple of businesses going her way too, and so I'm trying to, I try and watch the kids in the morning so she can do her thing. It goes both ways. It's not just her watching the kids, and I need to be able to be there in the daytime. And so I mean, again, she used to be more of a sports fan than she was now. She always roots for the local team to lose. I apologize right there, because she doesn't want the seasons to continue.
Right.
But
you gotta work more.
Exactly. But she is very, very supportive.
And let's talk about your two kids.
Carrick and Crystal. Carrick's my 5-year-old boy. Crystal, my 3-year-old daughter. They're bundles of energy. And after being married to Andrea, I mean, those two moments when they come into your life, it changes your life completely, and it changes the way you approach your job. Because I would, not that I don't like what I do, but I'd rather be with them.
Absolutely.
And it's so important as a father to be involved in their lives, and not just involved, but that they see you there with them.
Oh yes, absolutely.
So they require a lot of energy just because they're bouncing all over back and forth. But I think they kind of got the talking gene from me, because they both like to talk. They've been talking so long, and they'll have long conversations with you too. But hopefully,
sports anchors.
well, I don't think my wife wants that. I think she'd rather become something with computers or something like that, where you make a little more money, work a little less hours.
Yes, indeed. Well, you have been here for 9 years, but I can't let you go without me asking you about your next chapter. What do you see in your future?
Well, I hope to be here. I like living here in Charleston. Both my kids are born here. We love living here. And Channel 5 is a great station. Being the #1 station, it gives you a few more opportunities when it comes to the ratings, and so there's a certain comfort level you have here. I hope to transition into news as a news anchor.
Oh,
I think that's what I'd like to be, because I want to be here. I want to be involved in covering this area. But at some point, I think when we're talking about the family, the hours that you work as a sports anchor and reporter are a little more demanding sometimes than news anchoring. So I'd like for that opportunity to open up. If it doesn't, it doesn't, and I'll stick around and keep talking about sports. But I think that is probably what I see right now in the not too distant future, if the opportunity presents itself.
It will happen. It will happen.
I hope so.
Yeah. Well, Andy Pruitt, it was so great talking to you.
Yeah, Quintin, thanks a lot, man.
Thank you.
All right.